make sure that me and the bow were getting along well together. So I'm going to go on and do a couple of practice shots real quick. I was in there pretty good. Try to do this one just as well. Yep, shot them right there together. Shot pretty well. My bow here is a Hoyt 737. It's got a 7-inch brace height and a 37 axle to axle length, hence its name. I've got a ripcord arrow rest on it, one of the original red ones. Had it ever since I've had the bow. Went right where it's supposed to. That one too, if not a little better. I was in my blind by 6:30 a.m. and at 6:33, I saw these two does come walking up in the dark. I could just barely make them out. And I just waited and waited to see if anything else was going to come out there. And when nothing else did, I decided I was going to take one of the does. So I decided to take the one that was closest to me that turned broadside. The following morning, I was back out in my bow stand, and since I'd already taken a doe previously, I was determined to go in and hold out for one of the several bucks that I'd been seeing. So hopefully, I'll have a chance at one of them. I had several deer filtering in throughout the morning while I was waiting for one of the bucks, and it always keeps things interesting and entertaining to at least see deer while you're out there in the woods. I saw the buck coming down the hill. I'd kind of nicknamed Old Clubhorn because of a malformed antler, and I decided if I got a shot at him, I was going to take him. The buck is coming out about 28 yards away where the doe had come out previously. I just waited for him to get out and give me a clear shot. It looked like I had made a good shot on the buck, but I immediately noticed that there was not very much penetration. And when I got to where the buck was standing, there was only a few drops of blood. And I went on and followed it as far as I could, but after the blood kind of petered out, I went on and searched for a long time and never did find any other indication that he was seriously hurt. Notice how far down the buck drops as he turns and ducks away from the arrow a split second before it gets to him. Going over the footage frame by frame, it actually looked like the arrow had just clipped the top of the shoulder, not getting into any of the vitals. Deer are so much faster than people give them credit for. A few days later, the buck showed back up at the feeder, apparently unharmed and was doing just fine. My muzzleloader is a Knight Wolverine that my wife got me for my birthday like 20 years ago. And it's probably the best shooting muzzleloader I've ever had. When they first made it, they pulled out all the stops. It has a Green Mountain barrel on it. It has a Timney adjustable trigger. It just got top of the line stuff on it. And it also, I've got it topped off with a Bushnell 2-7 variable power scope, and it just shoots awesome. I did have to come up with a little trick though, because I did want to start using the pellets to shoot in this one. Well, this model came out with the ones that shot the little number 11 caps, and they were a little puny for trying to set off those charges. So a lot of times when you would touch the trigger off, instead of it just going boom, it would go like chick boom, and it would throw off your aim. So I came up with this little trick to supercharge the ignition system. I take a little bit of black powder, and I mean a very small amount, less than what would fill up a 22 long rifle cartridge, to put that in there as kind of a primer load. And then I would put in 2 777 pellets on top of that, and it has never failed since I've started doing that. And I've kind of shared this with a couple of my other friends that had the similar type percussion system there that shot the little number 11 caps, and they could even shoot the pellets in a side lock. I'm not saying that, that would work for everybody. I'm not endorsing that, but I'm just saying it has worked great for me. Fast forward to the second day of muzzleloader season, and look who shows back up. I immediately lost sight of the buck in the cloud of smoke, but I knew where I had the crosshairs when the rifle went off, so I felt pretty confident that I was going to get him. If you're lucky, you'll have a good blood trail like I had here starting out. But what was happening is that after a little ways, the blood would turn into tiny specks, and I'd have to spend several minutes trying to find the next drop of blood to keep a direction that I was heading, and then I'd find good blood again. So it was just kind of starting and stopping all along the trail here. You also need to kind of look above the trail because sometimes it's like saplings or grass or something like it's showing right here. The number one thing when you're tracking, though, is that you have to have patience. Take your time and go slowly, is having to stop and go like I was doing there. And another thing is to have a tool that will help you with that. My number one tracking tool that I rely on is, you guessed it, toilet paper. What I do is I tear a big piece of toilet paper off, put it in my pocket, and every time I find a speck of blood, I'll leave a trail of it like breadcrumbs. And I can stop at any point and look back down the trail and see the direction that it's heading. It helps me stay on the trail. And in this case, it was very, very helpful. Man, I'm following specks of blood like this right here. This just gives me a direction to go. I'll be dang. Hang on. Oh, heck fire. There he is right there. Found him. The buck was over 3 years old, and I had watched him over the years, and he always had this malformed antler on his left side, so I nicknamed him Old Clubhorn, and I was happy to take him out of the breeding pool. The buck was very long. I couldn't even raise him up high enough to get his head off the ground, but even at that, he weighed almost 120 pounds, even with his head still touching the ground. This is my number one go-to deer rifle. It's my Ruger M77 Mark II in 30-06. I upgraded it and got the trigger job on it, which gave it a nice crisp 2.5 to 3 pound trigger pull. I added a Hogue overmolded stock, which not only free floats the barrel, but it's more comfortably fitting to me. And I topped it off with a Redfield Revolution 3 to 9 variable scope. I use 150 grain pointed soft points in Remington because I've used them for years and years, and I've taken many deer with them, and it's never failed me if I put the bullet in the right spot. Here are the three main aim points on a deer if you want to take them successfully. There's the heart shot, the double lung, and the high shoulder shot. Over the last few years, I've been pretty much going to the high shoulder shot because once you hit there, a deer will drop right on the spot because it destroys all the brachial nerves, the shoulder, possibly the spine, and you have like a zero tracking job. Well, I got my third deer. A nice little, it would have been an 8-point. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it would have been an 8, but he broke off part of his antler. Nice big body deer. Got him with my Ruger M77 30-06. Made a high shoulder shot on him right here. Dropped right there. Like we always say, boom, whack, thud. Dead right there. That's a nice one. Good one to finish with. With this third deer, that completed my triple trophy for the 24-25 deer season and makes my 12th one. How'd you feel? Very good.
See, I was looking for horns.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any. But since I hadn't killed a deer in 3 years, it was time.
You betcha. That one qualifies.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Let's check on that. No nubbins.
Nope.
Good.
Just a good legal doe.
That's a good shot, though.
Yep, perfect shot. I knew it wasn't going to go far after the way it reacted when you shot.
And you were right about what direction.
Yep.
That was good.
Okay.